How did Bitmine Immersion go from a Nevada-incorporated company with $3.31 million of 2024 revenue and operating losses to a Delaware-domiciled NYSE American-listed vehicle pursuing about 6 million ETH? That shift is funded by over $200 million of July 2025 equity placements and a shelf registration of up to $20 billion. The corporate lineage begins with Interactive Lighting Showrooms, incorporated in Nevada on August 16, 1995, and later renamed through periods as AM, Tex Oil and Gas, Critical Point Resources, Renewable Energy Solution Systems, and RES Systems, before reverting to Renewable Energy Solution Systems, Inc. in 2013. On April 6, 2020, the Nevada entity merged into Delaware subsidiary RES Merger Corp., redomiciling as Sandy Springs Holdings, and the Delaware Corporation commenced operations as Bitmine Immersion Technologies, Inc. on July 16, 2020. In 2022, Sandy Springs Holdings was renamed Bitmine Immersion Technologies, Inc. to reflect immersion-cooled Bitcoin mining, and the Delaware Corporation is headquartered at 845 Griffith Peak Drive, Suite 2, Las Vegas, NV 89135. Bitmine shares were previously quoted on the OTCQX market, and since June 5, 2025, its common stock has traded on the NYSE American under the ticker symbol BMNR. For fiscal year 2024, Bitmine reported approximately $3.31 million in revenue, primarily from Bitcoin self-mining and hosting services, while generating operating losses from these activities. Here's the problem. In mid-2025, Bitmine launched an ETH Treasury strategy that shifted its economic focus away from operating income and toward the mark-to-market value and volatility of its Ethereum holdings. To fund this ETH Treasury strategy, Bitmine raised over $200 million through private placements in July 2025. Following these July 2025 financings, Bitmine used a large at-the-market equity program and a shelf registration of up to $20 billion to issue hundreds of millions of new shares and acquire additional Ethereum. Management's stated strategic goal is to acquire approximately 5% of the total Ethereum supply, described as about 6 million ETH. Here's the tension. By late 2025, Bitmine's financial performance is dominated by the mark-to-market value and volatility of its Ethereum holdings, rather than by traditional operating income from mining and hosting. Here's their position. After initially focusing on clean energy solutions, Bitmine pivoted into Bitcoin mining and hosting. But by 2025, those Bitcoin ecosystem activities, including mining, hosting, consulting, and equipment leasing, are de-emphasized and contribute only a small fraction of revenue relative to ETH-related activities. Management publicly presents Bitmine as a way for equity investors to obtain leveraged exposure to Ethereum through the company's ETH Treasury and staking activities. Economically, that Ethereum-linked profile trades on the NYSE American under the BMNR ticker, following an uplisting from OTCQX that became effective June 5, 2025. Some secondary corporate databases list Bitmine's incorporation date as 2019, but primary SEC filings instead trace its legal lineage back to a Nevada incorporation in 1995 and a Delaware continuation in 2020. As of late 2025, Bitmine's reported employee count is around 7, although at least one secondary data provider lists 3 employees. In other words, a Delaware-domiciled public company with reported employee counts around 7 or 3 and de-emphasized Bitcoin activities now has financial results primarily influenced by its Ethereum treasury rather than mining and hosting operations. Looking ahead, governance has shifted. In June 2025, Tom Lee of Fundstrat was appointed chairman of the board of Bitmine Immersion Technologies, Inc. On November 14, 2025, Bitmine appointed Chi Sang as chief executive officer and director, replacing former CEO Jonathan Bates. That same day, Bitmine also appointed 3 new independent directors, Robert Sachan, Olivia Howe, and Jason Edgeworth, to its board. Consequently, by late 2025, Bitmine's results are more sensitive to changes in the market value and volatility of its Ethereum treasury than to shifts in Bitcoin's self-mining and hosting revenues of about $3.31 million reported for 2024.